All right, well, what else is a part of our environment? Obviously, our friends are a primary part of our environment, aren't they? Now, so we've got myself and I've got a few friends. A few male friends maybe, and a few female friends surrounding me as well, right? So I've got these friends, and I start off having a close relationship with these friends. Obviously, they're friends for a reason. Now, unfortunately, for many of our friendships, they're not based upon truthful emotional interactions with them, but they're based on common interests, common goals, and common passions many times, right? So I have a passion for footy. So my three mates are all got a passion for footy. Does that make sense? Because there's a law of attraction going on. I've got a passion for the outdoors. So my three mates all love four-wheel driving, going out fishing, all those kind of things for the outdoors. That's how we are. We enjoy each other's company doing those things. If I had to ask my mate whether he's really happy in his marriage, I may not know. Right? And he may not have ever told me. Right? But because we've got these other desires and passions that match, we're going along in the same direction. So then what happens is I come up and I start questioning this issue of whether I should be eating meat or not. And we're all fishermen. So it's not like, I'm not that comfortable going out fishing anymore. I don't mind getting out in the boat and mucking about in the boat and doing other things perhaps, but I might not put out the line and catch a fish and eat it anymore. Now, can you see straight away my change in belief is going to confront my friends somehow. Now, again, our friendship could easily be maintained, quite simply, by our friends feeling that that's fine. You're allowed to not eat meat, you're allowed to choose to not catch meat anymore, you're allowed to, you're still a man, we still think you're a man, even though you don't want to do those things, right? And they could be very accepting. And if that's the case, then our relationship could be maintained, could it not? Okay. However, most of the time we have emotional reasons why we're doing things, and we have emotional reasons why we go out fishing, and we have an emotional reason why we want to eat the meat, and we have an emotional reason why we want to do all of those things, and some of it is about my definition of what's a man. Like, real men do these things. In fact, even the beer ads say it, do they not, right? The real men do these things. So here I've got my group of male friends who think that real men do these things. If I'm not eating meat, he's not a real man anymore. I don't know how that happened. I just checked the gear, it's there still, right? So, but for some reason, all of a sudden, just because I'm not going out catching fish anymore, I'm not a real man. Now, me just addressing this one emotion inside of myself that's harmonious with divine truth is going to automatically confront those friendships. Can you see that? Now, it doesn't have to. The truth is it doesn't have to. If all of us were accepting of each other's desire to do whatever we want in our life, then it doesn't have to confront those friendships. But the problem is, most of the time is when I stop doing something that another person is doing, the other person automatically feels judged. Have you noticed that even with yourself? Sometimes your friend stops doing something and you automatically feel judged that you should somehow stop doing it now. Right? And this is a common problem that we have. And so what happens is our friends start dropping off because we're no longer accepting of each other's choices. Right? So in the end, that's what it's about. So as I'm growing towards divine truth, I'm now starting to attract maybe different friends, but there's this period in between where I'm not attracting the new friends and the old friends don't want to see me anymore. And that's a very confronting place, isn't it? Because you end up feeling like, wow, if I keep doing this, I have no friends. Which is not the truth, by the way, but it is the truth that we think something we believe. And so what that does is it puts huge emotional pressure on me as the individual. So now not only am I getting my emotional pressure from my family, right, to not do these changes that I'm feeling like I want to do, but I'm also now getting this emotional pressure from my friends to not do what I'm wanting to do. Now, it doesn't have to be that way, but unfortunately, often it turns out that way. Now, I also then start having my family friends saying, yeah, see, you're in a cult, see, nobody wants to spend any time with you anymore. And that's proof that you're in a cult. And the truth is, you know, all cults say, what do they say? I don't even know. Something like what they do, what a cult leader does, is he tries to disassociate you from your family. And what a cult leader does is he tries to disassociate you from your friends. Now, when you go through it all emotionally and personally, you feel that your friends disassociated you, not the other way around, right? Often that feels that way. But they then claim back to you that, yeah, see, this is proof that you're in a cult now because they're saying we're the problem. Well, no, what I'm saying is any person who doesn't accept the choices of that individual is obviously at some point going to project negatively at the individual. And that is the truth, is it not? And all I need to do is come to accept it and we can remain friends all we like. Just like I accept you doing what you want. Whoops, just to straighten that up. I accept you doing what you want to do, even if it may not be harmonious with divine truth or divine love. And you would accept me doing what I want to do, even though it's not harmonious. When I want you to do what I want, then we might have a problem. Or when you want me to do what you want, then we might have a problem. And it's only when we want each other to do what we want, that's when we start having the problem. So when I want this friend to do what I want to do, and many of you have done this, by the way, on the Divine Love path, and you haven't been on the Divine Love path when you're doing it, by the way, you say, oh, I'm learning all this new truth, it's so wonderful, I'm so happy about it. And what's one of the first things you start doing? Talking about it with others, right? But you don't just talk about it with others. You expect them to feel the same joy at finding the same truth that you had, right? Well, that's going to damage your relationship with these people because every time you expect something, you're actually being unloving right at that moment. So what do? We're in a relationship with our partner and all of a sudden I feel all this joy about discovering the divine truth and our partner's not interested, right? And so what do? I give him the heavies, you know? I'd heavy him into being interested, right? I'm straight out of harmony with love myself now, but do you think our relationship's going to survive this? Not very well if I continue doing it, you see, because I'm not in a space of love myself. So often it's because of our own enthusiasm, but working with some of our emotions. And some of our emotions are, I can't do this alone, I need you to do this with me. Well, that's one of our emotions. So I start having feelings towards God and my partner's an atheist, right? How does this work now? Well, it'll work fine as long as I don't expect him to have feelings about God. Does that make sense? But oftentimes what happens is I start talking about God a bit more and he starts saying, "Can you shut up about God, like I'm sick of hearing it." And before you know it, I'm getting shut down some of the time and I'm trying to shut him down some of the time too, about his stuff. And of course that's going to break the relationship down. Does that make sense? As long as we're both open and accepting of each other's beliefs, we're going to be fine. But oftentimes we're not. And that's what causes the problem.